That's my spot.
I just had to look at you.
Thank you.
Isn't that good?
I'll go
Oh,
back.
look at Eric. Oh, I needed to record.
Sorry, I wasn't here for the TikTok.
I know. I was a little late on that because of that, right? So let me get my stuff set up.
Later today.
It's gonna come at 12.
Okay, Lynn, we're gonna get started.
I'm staying right here.
Okay, what? Why are you sneaking out?
I might have to.
Okay. All right, welcome, guys. There's more people gonna jump on Zoom. We're at the top of the hour, though. You guys are here on time. I appreciate that. We've got some other awesome agents in the office. Kevin Smolin has been here before, and we're grateful to have him back. He always teaches great content all around his marketing company. 2Q. Sometimes I say it wrong. Sometimes I say Q2, but it's 2Q.
I've heard worse.
Marketing. Quality and
Quality.
quantity. I love it. I love it. So I do have some previous instruction that he's given our team recorded. So if you're interested in that, drop something in the chat. I'd be happy to get my recordings caught up so that I can send you a link. I'm a little behind on getting those downloaded and uploaded to YouTube. But Kevin, come on up here. We're going to talk today about marketing strategies to produce 2 to 3 times the response rate. We want our efforts to be productive, right? And get us results. So Kevin's here to teach us how to do that. So finish any introduction you want, and I'll raise my camera. I'm a tall guy. Yeah. I thought I was big, but look, when I step behind it.
Yeah, if you want to step forward.
All right, guys, you get started. I'm going to share your screen.
All right, cool. Yeah, so just by way of introduction, for those of you who don't know me, as I look around the room here, I see mostly familiar faces. So I think most of you have been to a class I've done before. Most people know me as the Facebook guy, which is a fair, it's a fair title. Almost everything I happen to teach is regarding Facebook, but today is going to be different than that. So today what we're really focused on is about, thank you, sir. It's about how to make sure that your marketing produces better results. If you've ever had the experience where you post something on social media, or you put together a direct mail piece, or you spent some kind of money on marketing, you were super excited about it, and it didn't produce the results you were looking for. Today's class is really the solution to that problem. That's really what we're going to be focused on. So just to kind of give you my 5-second background for those of you who don't know me. So again, Kevin Smolin. When I got started, I went and got my license as a real estate agent when I was 22 years old. That was 24 years ago. If you can do math, now you know how old I am. And I honestly just had no strategy to do business. I just figured that having a license was good enough. People were going to line up and do business with me. And that did not happen, as weird as that sounds. So if you're relatively new to the business and that's the marketing strategy that you're banking on, I don't recommend it. It doesn't work real well, at least it didn't for me. So hopefully with what you'll learn today, you'll learn other strategies. But basically from there, when I didn't know how to generate business, I spent the next 15 years studying everything I could about marketing, about business development, about social media, and that's really where all of this started. So today, again, what we're going to be focused on is how to improve our messaging, how to improve our content so that we are getting better responses from our marketing. So with that being said, let's just jump right in and start covering it. First thing we're going to talk about is I'm going to show you a marketing formula. It's going to take a lot of the guesswork out of what you're doing for marketing. If you've ever had the put together a marketing piece and pray that it does well, I believe in prayer, and prayer is great, but it's not what I want to base my marketing on. So we're going to show you more methodical way of going about it. Second thing we're going to talk about is how to have an unfair advantage over the competition. Is it fair to say that real estate is a competitive field? Yes, very competitive, tons of agents out there. So the bad news is, yes, real estate is very competitive. The good news is, as you're going to see today, almost every agent I know absolutely sucks at marketing. That's the good news. So if you do even anything slightly better than nothing, you're going to easily stand out. So we'll show you how to stand out very, very quickly. I'm going to talk about your business cards. Did you know you can actually set up your business cards in a way that is just constantly generating business for you for free every time you hand them out? That silence says, no, Kevin. Well, we'll talk about that. And then the last thing is there are 2 things that I see over and over and over again that are absolutely killing people's marketing. And so I want to talk about what those 2 things are that are absolutely destroying your results that I see over and over again. So if we can cover this in the next hour, is that time well spent?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. That's what we're covering. So what I realized when I put together this slide that kind of summarizes what we're talking about, I realized I did it out of order. So we're going to cover that, but we're not going to necessarily cover it in that order. So let's start with the bottom one, the two things that are absolutely killing your marketing. So one of the biggest things that I find that kills people's marketing is that they are just so generic in the way that they approach it, right? So think about this. In order to, one of the principles I really want to hammer home today is that if you are marketing to everyone, you're actually marketing to no one, right? When you're marketing to everyone, you're actually marketing to no one. So let's break that down and kind of talk through that a little bit. Let's talk about first-time buyers, just as a quick example. What are some of the common challenges first-time buyers run into in today's market?
Getting beat up by cash offers.
Getting beat out by cash offers. Great. What else?
They don't know what they want.
Don't know what they want.
False expectations.
False expectations.
Don't know their financial situation for a loan.
Finances, down payment, credit, all of that comes into play, right? So that's good enough for what we're talking about. Let's switch gears and let's talk about empty nesters, people who are downsizing, going to something else. They have problems as well, right? It's just a different set of problems. So let's talk through those people. What are their problems?
They remember a different market.
They remember a different market. Yes, today does not resemble when they bought last. That's for sure. What else?
Too much stuff.
Too much what?
Stuff.
Too much, yeah, too much stuff they gotta get rid of, right? In order to downsize. Okay, awesome. What else? A lot of times, especially with that group of people as they near retirement age, they're working with a fixed income, right? Fixed income, is that a challenge in today's market? Yes, absolutely it is, right? So stairs, often a problem for them, or it's becoming a problem that they need to start dealing with. So anyway, long story short, they have problems as well, but it's a different set of problems, right? Let's go through one more just to kind of paint the picture. Let's talk about investors. What kind of challenges do they have?
Cash flow.
Yep, finding properties that cash flow in today's market. That's very, very
Small profit margins.
Small profit margins, small investments. Okay.
Too much CapEx.
Too much what?
To CapEx to fix it up once they get it.
Okay, perfect, awesome.
CapEx, you're talking some
Capital expenditures.
Let's pretend like we're not all investors. Things.
Next time you talk.
We're trying to get there, not there.
A lot of times they have a hard time even finding a deal in today's market, right?
Yeah.
Just because of, especially with as far as property appreciation and how much property values have gone up. So anyway, that's good. So they have problems as well. So as we could go through tons of other ones, but this is enough to paint the picture. When we talk about the problems with first-time buyers, people who are downsizing, the empty nesters, and investors, how would you create a marketing message that's going to resonate with all three of those groups of people? What would you say? Perfect. The silence in the room is the answer. You can't. See, the best that you can do is you have to water it down to make it applicable to all three groups of people. And when we water it down, it's the same message you've heard for as long as you've been in the real estate business, which is, I help people buy and sell houses. That's as specific as you can be, where it will be resonating at some level with all three groups of people. But when you come up with a message of, I help people buy and sell houses, how captivating is that really? How much does it speak to the problems that they face, the challenges that they have? It doesn't, and that's the problem. This is why when you market to everyone, the truth is you're actually marketing to no one, because the problem is that message cannot be specific to where it's going to be something that's going to resonate with those people. That's the problem, right? So with that being said, since real estate is super competitive, again, most people know more than one real estate agent. So we want to have a way to be able to separate ourselves. And a lot of the way that we do that is through the messaging and the things that we use, our marketing, right? If you're not memorable with your marketing, people are just going to lump you in with everybody else. You ever had that experience where somebody says, hey, what do you do for work? And you say, oh, I'm a real estate agent. Or you say, I help people buy and sell houses, whatever that conversation goes like. And the response you get from the person is like, oh, okay, cool. Do you want to know what oh, okay, cool is code for?
Conversation over.
I know other people, I know other real estate agents, and I mentally just put you in the same category because my perception is you're the same, right? We want to have a way to be able to break through that very quickly. So we're going to cover that today. And standing out is our objective. With marketing, that's really what we want to do. We want to captivate attention and stand out, because otherwise people just mentally tune us out. And that's the challenge. So again, we talked about this principle. If you're marketing to everyone, the simple truth is you're actually marketing to no one. So with that being said, my definition of marketing is this: I want to find a limited market and seek to dominate it totally. That is my definition of marketing. Find a limited market and dominate that totally. You will always be much better being the big fish in the small pool than you ever will trying to be the small fish in the big pool. And not only can you grow a big business that way, you can get noticed very, very quickly. If you've ever heard the expression, the riches are in the niches, I fully believe that, and I see it all the time. So with that being said, again, the two problems that most people face with their marketing that's absolutely killing them is, number one, it's just too general. You ever heard people say like, oh, we have the lowest commissions? From my perspective, the problem with lowest commissions is it's a race to zero. It's not a great business model. I don't recommend it, but if you want to play that game, go for it. I wasn't going to say that. Best service. People say that all the time. We have the best service. We have the best customer service. We're full service. We do everything. 20 years of experience. You ever heard that? I have people that come up to me when I teach classes, and they're like, well, Kevin, I've been in the business for 50 years. And they say that as if, I don't know, like to them, that's everything, right? Think about your prospects. Do they, I know this is a trick question. Do they care how long you've been in the business?
Maybe a little bit.
More than a few weeks anyway.
Do they care that you can help them?
Results.
Yes, they care about the results, right? So what I tell people is nobody cares that you've been in the business 20 years or whatever that number is. What they care about is what your 20 years of experience translates to their results. That's what they care about. It's not the number, right? So when you're marketing, it doesn't really do you a lot of service to say, I've been in the business 20 years. What helps you more is saying what that 20 years of experience translates to them. Because the one thing that everyone uniformly cares about is themselves, right? That's what our marketing should be, is about them, not about us. Agent for life, I've heard that one. You know, people say, I'm your agent for life. Well, think about that. Who's looking for their agent for life? Or to say the same thing differently, how many people are going to Google and typing out agent for life? Like, is that what they're searching for? Again, it's not about them, right? I've heard other people that are like, I'm your secret agent. And I'm sitting there going, I think a secret is about the last thing you want to be, right? So I know we come up with these phrases because we think they're cute and we think they're catchy, but in all honesty, it's just not really helping your message. Right? The second problem that most people have is it's so self-focused, right? Real estate agents, they're talking about, you know, I won these awards and I've done all these transactions and I'm a top producer and I've been in the business for 500,000 years, and who you work with matters. And that is true. Who you work with doesn't matter, but we need to be better at explaining what that means, right? Why does who you work with matter? That's the message we want to convey, right? How does that give them a better result? So kind of just to drive this home, right? One CE class I was teaching during one of the breaks, I had somebody come up to me and they told me the story about how they lost this listing. And I was like, okay, well, tell me what happened. And in fact, the listing that they lost, it was their friend. I mean, somebody they had known for a long time, and they lost the listing to another agent. And they said, well, Kevin, here's what happened. You know, I met with them, we talked about it, and, you know, we talked about how to get the home ready, and we were going to put the home on the MLS, and, you know, we just talked through the process. I'm like, okay, well, the next agent who came in, what did they say that got them the listing? And he said, well, they told the seller that once the home was listed, there was going to be this automatic notification that went out to all buyers who were interested in a home like theirs. They were going to get immediate, you know, notifications and interest in their home. And they were going to send it out to this huge database of not just the clients they were working with, but everybody, all the real estate agents, right? And that's what they wanted. Now, here's the funny part. What tool are we talking about?
The MLS.
It's the MLS. It's the same thing that the other agent, it's the same tool, right? But why did that agent not get the business? How did they talk about it? What they said was, we're going to put your home on the MLS. They never explained what that meant and why that's important. They're using the same tool, but they lost the listing because of the other agent explained what that meant to them. Does this make sense? Too often our messaging has, we just don't really talk about what that means to the end customer, right? And this is where a lot of agents just fail in their marketing. The mindset is, the way that I'm going to convince you to do business is to tell you how awesome I am. And that's where that's what you'll see in a lot of marketing with real estate agents. What we want to shift is the messaging shouldn't be about you. It should be about what you can help them accomplish, solving their problems, their needs. That's where your message is going to get really, really refined and see a lot more results. So with that being said, one of the first ways that we want to start fixing a lot of this messaging problem is with a strategy that I call a market domination statement. So the market domination statement, think of it as the way that you introduce yourself. So again, when people ask you that question, what is it you do for work? I would suspect most of you probably give one of three answers. You either say, number one, I'm a real estate agent. Number two, I work with XYZ brokerage, whatever brokerage you're affiliated with, or the advanced version, I help people buy and sell houses. You probably have one of those three that you respond with. And again, the problem with that is people typically respond with, oh, okay, cool, which again, just means they know other people in the business and they've mentally categorized you with everyone else, right? We want to have a way of breaking out of that from the very first moment people meet with us because of the way that we introduce ourselves. So a market domination statement is the answer to what do you do for work, but we want it to contain three pieces. Piece number one is who it is that you work with. Piece number two is the problem that those people currently or commonly face. And number three, how you solve that problem. So who you work with, the problem they face, and how you solve that problem. If you can effectively answer those three things very, very quickly, that becomes a very powerful way to introduce yourself. So let me show you a couple of examples. So let's say you do a lot of work with first-time buyers. So here's a possible introduction. I work with first-time buyers who don't have the money for the down payment. Show them 3 ways to overcome that so they can buy a home today and stop wasting money on rent. Right? That becomes a very captivating message right from the very beginning. Okay. Let's say you do a lot of work with investors. I help busy real estate investors locate investment properties that add millions to the net worth while limiting their downside risk. Right? It's just a matter of thinking through who it is that you like to do business with, the problems that they face, and how you can help them with that. When we communicate that, that becomes a very powerful message. Now, anytime I talk about these kinds of things, either people say it or they ask it. They're like, okay, Kevin, if I go after a specific part of the business, like first-time buyers or whatever it is, then I'm missing all this business over here, right? Now, let's just talk through that. Am I saying that you should only be doing business with this group of people? Is that my message to you?
No.
Good. You can still do all this business over here. What am I telling you that you should focus on this? Should be your marketing message, right? So my experience is when you introduce yourself like this, typically one of two things happens. Either number one, the person that you're speaking with, they are part of this demographic. They are part of this group that you're talking about. And because you're talking about a problem that they're probably facing, normally they're going to respond with something like, well, how does that work? Or how do you do that? Right? And in that moment, I just created a new lead, a new prospect. I got some interest from somebody, right? If they're not part of that group of people, because I've been so specific about my message, where does their brain start to go? People that fit that description. That's normally very common. So like if they're not a first-time buyer and you gave them that kind of an opening, they'll usually say something like, well, you need to talk to my brother, John. He's trying to buy a house. He's having a hard time. Right? But my experience also is if they're not part of that, and even if they don't refer you to somebody, if you're going to make an impression because they're instantly going to perceive that you're different, right? Where a lot of times in that moment, what they'll say is, well, do you also work with people who want to upscale their home or people who want to sell their first home? Or they'll ask whatever it is, right? And if it's business, it's part of this part over here, right? And if you are comfortable with that kind of business, your answer should be, of course I can help you with that, you bet. But those moments aren't created if your answer is, I'm a real estate agent. That's the point. Does that make sense? So again, it's not limiting all this business over here. It's just about refining a message that people are going to respond to. That's what we want to do. So can you see how that instantly separates you? People just mentally categorize you differently than lumping you in with everyone else. It gives you an unfair advantage because what is your competition saying? I'm a real estate agent. That's what they're saying, right? This is why it's so easy to stand out, because most of the people you're competing against do the bare minimum possible because they just don't know any better. And really this message, as you're going to see from today's class, it becomes the framework of everything that I'm going to show you. It becomes the message that we want to convey through all of our forms of marketing, whether it's business cards, whether it's brochures, websites, social media. It becomes the core message that we want to convey. So let me start showing you how we can improve the response rate at least 2 to 3 times.
Can you go back to that last slide real quick?
Yep, of course. And you have the slides if you want to send them out to people, feel free. So let me show you, like I said at the beginning of class, a lot of times people will put together a marketing piece. They will release that. They're expecting great things to happen and either nothing or not much happens. There's a reason why that happens. And so let's just kind of talk through that. So when you have that experience, there's a reason why that happens, right? And it's usually just because there are components of this formula that they're missing. I'm going to show you a 4-step marketing formula that'll help you take a lot of that guesswork out of it, just so you're getting more consistent results. So according to, you'll see all kinds of numbers, but this is the one that I tend to follow and teach. Media Matters, they say on average, the average person is exposed to 600 marketing messages per day. 600. Between, texts and emails and television, internet, et cetera, et cetera. So I want you to be thinking about those 600-ish messages that you are exposed to every single day of your life. My question is, how many of them do you actually remember per day? I'd be surprised if any of you were more than like 1 or 2, right? I'd be shocked.
Yeah, because as soon as I think it's an ad, I just tune out or I delete.
Which
Or
is
hit
what
the
most
skip
people
ads
do.
button. Yeah, I hit the skip ads button all the time.
Yep.
Like if I listen to the radio and the host goes into, pitching something, I just change the channel or I just turn it down and call somebody on my phone.
Yeah.
So this is problem number 1 where marketing is concerned. Is truth be told, 99% of all marketing that is done is absolutely ignored. How's that for exciting from the guy selling marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the truth of the matter, right? It's not just true for you. This is the same for everybody. I probably remember 1 or 2 a day. Okay. Now, of the 1 or 2 or 3, whatever number that is for you, the second question is this. Of the 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever that number is for you, how many of them did you become a customer of? I'd suspect for most of you, the answer is you probably didn't. So problem number 1, most people ignore your message. And problem number 2, even if they do happen to remember, they're probably not going to do business with you. That's exciting. But this is the reality of marketing, right? So how do we cut through that? Well, the way that we cut through it is this 4-step formula that I'm going to teach you. It's going to take a lot of those problems out of it. So the 4 steps, as you see, are number 1, it's to interrupt. And I'm going to go through each one of them, break it down, show you examples. Number 1 is to interrupt. Number 2 is to engage. Number 3 is educate. And number 4, the offer. So interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. You will find if you follow those 4 steps with pretty much any type of marketing you ever do, results will be better than if you don't. So let's go through each one of these steps and talk about what it means. So first one, interrupt. When you are marketing, the first thing that we are competing for is attention. Attention is the name of the game. So we need to have something that's going to get their attention and get them to pay attention to the message we want to convey. So the fastest way that I can teach you how to use interrupts very effectively is to think about the problems that your prospects face. So for example, remember how I said you probably remember 1 or 2 marketing messages a day? Let's talk through that for a second. Why do you remember the messages that you do?
Because it's important to you.
Related to you.
That's one of the key ones, is it was important to you, right? What did you say?
Did you relate it to it in some way?
Yeah, they related to you in some way. Okay, what else are the things that why else do you remember the messages? That's the key one. It was important to you. You remember it because it's funny?
Yeah, but then you don't remember the product that went with the punchline.
True. True. But why do advertisers use humor?
It's non-threatening.
Relatable.
It's non-threatening, it's certainly relatable. Does it get attention? Yes. So is humor an interrupt? You bet it is. You ever heard those monster truck event ads on the radio?
I think so.
You ever heard those? You ever wonder why it's always the same voice? Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Why do they do that?
Is it your voice?
No.
Does that sound familiar? I was curious.
I don't do voiceovers. But why do they have that guy do that? What's their interrupt?
Yeah, it grabs attention.
Yeah.
Quick.
Have you ever seen ads that are massively annoying? Do you think that's accidental?
It's that computer guy. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Dale Shanzy, sure.
Yeah.
How did he get so popular?
He's annoying.
Absolutely, he was annoying, but he made a lot of money being annoying.
Is that the PC I love you guy?
That's
Well,
like
he followed in his steps.
Oh,
but Dale
okay. I think
Shanzy
that's the guy that was
guy
talking
before
about.
that.
Totally
Yeah,
awesome.
It was
Totally
the
awesome.
really
Really
annoying
awesome
guy.
computers, yep. He went a little crazy, but that's a story for another day. Right. So again, there's different forms of interrupt, humor, annoyance, there's all kinds of things, but the one that's easiest to teach that I would recommend is having it be problem-centric. Problems are great opportunities to resonate with people. We want to convey that with our marketing message. So with any kind of marketing message that you're doing, the interrupt it's what people should see or hear first, right? That should be the very opening line. It should be your headline, should be the first thing that you're leading with to capture their attention. You have a split second to capture their attention before they move on. This is where that belongs in your marketing. Does that make sense? The second step, once we have their attention, our next objective is we want them to engage and consume the rest of our marketing message. So if we get their attention by focusing on a problem, what do you think is going to get them to engage with the rest of it? Solution. So that's the next thing that we lead with. We want to show them your unique solution to the problem. And where this belongs in your marketing piece is it's the subheadline. It's the next thing that people should see or hear. Because once they know you have a solution to the problem that's bothering them, they have a reason to keep paying attention and go through the rest of the message. But without that, if all you do is bring up a problem and you never talk about solving it, you're kind of leaving them hanging and they don't know why they should care about you. Make sense? Our third step is to educate, right? We want them to realize why they would be crazy to go do business with anyone else, because they're not going to get the same outcome, the same results. They're just not going to have the same experience, right? So education is that separation of you and everybody else. This is the part where you're talking about you and how that's going to help them specifically, and why they're not going to get that same experience somewhere else. Again, it's that concept, they'd be crazy to go anywhere else. They just won't have the same outcome, cost, experience, whatever that is. Now, truth be told, educate, so this is the body of your marketing message. That's where this belongs. And in most cases, when you're putting together a marketing piece, the educate part is probably going to be 80% of your marketing message, right? Talking about what's differentiating you, how that's going to help other people. That's probably going to be the majority of what you're communicating. But without the prior two steps, it just doesn't make sense and they don't know why they carry that. And then our fourth step is the offer. So it's inviting people to take the next step with you. So once they have gone through your marketing message, the question is, what do you want them to do next? And depending on the marketing piece, your call to action or your offer is going to vary. It might be to call you for a consultation. It might be for a free market analysis. It might be for a buyer's guide, a seller's guide, setting an appointment, downloading a free report. There's all kinds of different things, right? So whatever that next step is that you're inviting them to do, that should be the final thing that they see on the marketing piece. Because it doesn't do us any good to get them excited about something and then they're wondering like, hey, what do I do next? And then you don't answer that question. So again, the question for step number 4 is, what do you want them to do next? And we're just going to invite them to take that step. So now that you kind of understand the formula, interrupt, engage, educate, and offer, let me start going through some examples and showing you why what agents often do, why it's not providing the results that they're looking for. So this is a website. I've picked an out-of-state website. That's why I don't feel as bad beating them up a little bit. But I haven't picked the worst of the worst. This is a pretty common website, right? Especially in the real estate industry. So let's start breaking this down. We talked about the first way to get people's attention is to use a headline focusing on a problem or a situation that they're facing, right? So with this website, what's the headline that we have here?
The real difference.
Yeah, I mean, we could argue whether it's up here, the real difference in real estate, or whether it's this one that says real estate and insurance since 1864. I don't care, pick one, right? Do either of them really face a problem? Or to say the same thing, is anybody sitting in their bed worried at night about real estate and insurance since 1864? Is that what's on their mind and keeping them awake? Probably not. So can you see why instantly people don't care when they come to a website like this? Right? It's pretty easy when you start understanding the pieces and break it down. We talked about the subheadline being the next step where we're solving their problem, showing them a solution, right? What's the best thing we have to a subheadline here?
The homes in Western New York. Right?
Yeah, this line right here, Buffalo real estate and homes in Western New York. When you see that, are you like, yes, that's the solution? Again, it's just not resonating, right? The third part, the body, talking about the educate piece, why they would be crazy to do business anywhere else, why they should focus on you and your solution, right? So this is the body right here. And it says, so-and-so has been the region's expert in real estate and insurance since 1864. We know Western New York, its history, its neighborhoods, its most intriguing properties because we live here, we thrive here, and we love it here. Does that get you excited? You want a real quick rule of thumb to realize whether your marketing is on point or not, or whether you should make changes? You want to pay attention to the number of I's and we's in relation to you's. The relationship of I's and we's in comparison to you's. Which one do you think you should have more of? Use you. The message is about them, right? But knowing that, let's go back. So-and-so, who are they talking about? Themselves. We know Western New York, its history is because we live here, we thrive here, we love it here. What part of that message is about their prospect? Absolutely none of them. See why it's missing? And fourth, what is our call to action? What's the closest thing we are inviting them to do? Search for properties, this little box over here, right? Now, while that is a call to action, you're at least inviting them to do something. Are most people going to come to a website like this to search for homes, or are they going to go to a website they're more familiar with, like Zillow, Realtor.com, et cetera, et cetera? Where do you think they're going to go? Probably go to a website that they're familiar with, right? The only way they would use this is if they happen to be here, which I would assume that most people came to a site like this, the way that it's laid out and the messaging that's there, they would probably hit the back arrow pretty quickly and go look for something else that's more relevant to what they need. Right? So this is why a lot of people's marketing, if you take you know, with that 4-step formula, if you start taking junk mail that you get in the mail, start going through those steps and you'll notice how many of those flyers and stuff you get in the mail, you can instantly pick out the winners and the losers very, very quickly. Because you're going to notice that there's just components that are missing. Like the traditional advertising agencies, the companies that are hired to create television commercials and radio and all that stuff, this 4-step formula, a lot of times they miss the mark. There's one of those sections that they are fantastic at. And usually the one that they are great at is interrupt. They are masters at interruption, whether it's humor or some kind of voice or annoyance or whatever. They are great at getting people's attention. Where they miss the mark are the other steps. Right, that's pretty cool. So can you see why a lot of times people just are going through this marketing stuff and it's just not resonating with what their needs are? And this is why they're not getting more results out of what they're doing. So if you start using the formula, I guarantee you're going to get a 2 to 3 times response rate over anything that you've done in the past. So let me show you a different example. Let's go back to that first-time buyer example. Let's say we're working with somebody who's interested in buying their first home. And what if they came to, again, one of the problems we talked about with that group of people is they often don't have the money for the down payment, right? It's a common problem for that group of people. So what if they came to a website or a landing page that was something more like this? Attention frustrated renters, do you want to buy a home but can't afford the down payment? Free new report details 5 ways to overcome the down payment so you can buy a home today and stop wasting money on rent. Is that going to resonate more with their needs? Yeah. You bet it is. Because it's a problem they commonly face, you're providing a solution and you're making it very, very easy for them. And if you take that and start breaking it down, you'll see that all 4 components that we've talked about are there. Right? In this case, the educate is this video then, right? The video in this case is the education piece. Now, where I see a lot of people make a mistake like this is when they're putting together that video, guess who the video is about? It's about the agent. Oh, let me tell you why you should work with me. I've been in business 50 years and I have all these awards, and that's what they typically do, right? What should that video be about?
Frustrated renters.
Should be about frustrated renters and why this report solves their problems. It could even be a video testimonial from someone you've helped. That is also a very compelling educate material, right? But again, it can't be about you. That's why you're going to miss the mark. It has to be about the solution that you're providing. Okay. And then here, our offer that we're inviting them to take the next step on is, hey, go download this free report, free video, whatever it is. Does that make sense? So that 4-step formula, you really can use it with any kind of marketing that you're putting together. I mean, this is an example of how you would use it in kind of the web space, right? Whether it's your actual website or a landing page. If you're unfamiliar with landing page, that terminology is, so I teach a lot about Facebook ads, if you've been to any of my other classes. So if you ran an ad like on Facebook or something like that, and you're asking people to click and go to your website, you would drive them to a page like this, because this is how you would convert that traffic into leads and opportunities. So it just allows us to get better results because all 4 of those components are there. The message is very focused on the prospect, the people that we want to attract. And that's why they're going to respond, right? It also helps you position yourself as the leader in the industry. Right, so many times, especially with real estate being as competitive it is, again, this is just one of those ways that we can stand out. If people come to know you as the first-time home buyer guy or gal, or the investor guy or gal, like that's a reputation that you want to have, because it's just an easy way to stand out and get noticed. So, with that being said, let's switch gears and talk about how we use this with your business cards. How am I on time? Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. Okay, so everybody pull out your business card for me. If you have them, pull one out for a second. And when I go through this, please don't be mad at me. The point of this is not to beat you up, it's just to show you ways to improve.
I already know I failed.
So a lot of times in the real estate industry, a business card will look something like this, right? It's got the headshot, it's got the brokerage logo, name, contact information, and it's a business card. It's supposed to have that stuff on there, right? But where there's really a missed opportunity is the back of your card. I'd be willing to bet that almost all of you, if not all of you, probably have one of three things on the back of your card. Either number one, it's blank. I would tell you that's a huge missed opportunity. And it's blank because you either just wanted to cut costs in your printing or you didn't know what to put there, so it's blank, right? The second thing I see all the time is brokerage logo. I would tell you again, that's a wasted opportunity because you've got it on the front of the card. You don't need it on the back as well. Again, missed opportunity. Or the third thing is I commonly see this, the greatest compliment you can ever give me is a referral. Now, if any of you have that card, you have that on the back of your card, I apologize. But number one, it sucks because did anyone ever refer you because they wanted to give you a compliment? Is that why they refer you? No, why are they referring you? Because you're good at what you do. It has nothing to do with giving you a compliment. It's such a stupid phrase, right? But that's not even what I really have a problem with. What I really have a problem with is it's just a strategic error. 99 times out of 100, who are you giving a card to? No.
Potential.
Somebody you just met.
Somebody you're meeting for the first time, 99 times out of 100. What reason do they have to refer anyone to you? None. They don't care about compliments. I've never had anyone give me a referral and say, Kevin, it's because I want you to feel good about yourself. That's never happened to me, right? But again, it's just a strategic error. The people who are referring you are not the ones that you're handing cards to. It's just the wrong message for the wrong person. So this is why none of them are great. And it's also the same reason why your cards are not producing leads for you, right? That was one of the things I promised I was going to teach you, is how to have a business card that's generating leads and opportunities for you. So I just recommend a different format. What I recommend on the front of the card would be something like this. So yes, obviously it's a business card. We want to have all the contact information. Brokerage logo, you're going to put that on there mostly for branding or compliance or both, right? We want to have that on there. I just happened to throw an EXP on there. I'm not sure why. I love having a headline on a business card because where do their eyes naturally go first? Top line, right? I want my headline to be top. And guess what I'm going to put as my headline? A statement or a question about the problem that they're facing. So I'm going to put that right here. Hey, own a home without a down payment. What? That's possible, right? One of the things I love a lot of times with business cards is you've got your photo, but you have it go the full length. I would recommend shortening that up a little bit and using that space at the bottom for a testimonial. Right? In the day and age that we live in, how many of you look at reviews before you buy something? How many people do you think Google you before they decide to do business with you? So let's just make the research really simple. Let's put it right on the business card. So I highly recommend using some sort of a testimonial or review or something, put it right on the bottom of your card. If you control the process, it makes things very, very simple. And if the testimonial or review is in the realm of like the type of person you're helping with. So like here it says, hey, they helped me buy a home without a down payment. That's a fantastic testimonial for what we're trying to accomplish. Okay. And then my sub headline, right? Frustrated you can't save the down payment. See the backside for a special offering. What? So they click to the backside. And here's where I'm offering them whatever it is that I'm offering them. In this case, it's that report of how to buy a home without a down payment. What do you think they're going to do when they grab my card, they flip it over and they see this? They're going to go to that website to go get it, right? And if you break it down, that format should look oddly familiar. See how we can use that format with pretty much any form of marketing we do. Now, the great thing about cards like this is, do people tend to hold on to them? Yeah, because there's something valuable, right? It's not just a business card with some contact info. Not only do these cards often get held onto, they often get passed out to other people. Like they'll hold on to it and hand it to their brother John or whatever the situation is. right? But the back of your card, it's extremely rare that I see a real estate agent's card that's actually producing results for that. When I flip it over and look at the back, it's usually blank, company logo, or that stupid phrase about referrals. 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. And it's just a huge missed opportunity. The funny thing about most of what I'm teaching you about the way you introduce yourself, about your business cards, about your website, these are all things you're using already. It's just ways of being more effective and more efficient with what you're doing, right? That's the funny part, is it's really not going to cost you anything to do what I'm showing you, to do something different. It's the same money you're already paying. Okay. So questions on that? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an easy way to stand out, right? When you have all components of the marketing system and interrupt, engage, educate, offer, it's just going to help you create a message that's easier for your contacts to resonate with, right? Again, the 2 biggest mistakes that I see people make is their marketing is so general because it's this thought process of, I want to appeal to as many people as possible. But what ends up happening in that process is you lose the attention of the people who would have paid attention because your message is just so generic. Right? So if all you did from today's class was you stopped being general, you started being very specific, right? There is power in specificity, right? The more specific you can be, the better your marketing message will be. And if the other thing you did was you stopped focusing your marketing message on you, you started making it about the people that you're marketing to, that alone would instantly improve the results that you're getting. Right? The one thing that people universally care about is themselves. I don't care about you and your problems, no offense. I care about me and my problems. And so where marketing is concerned, if it's addressing me and my problems, I'm much more likely to pay attention to that. So, questions on that?
So it kind of looks like the pages on the website that you're using would be more of a squeeze page or a
Sure.
landing page rather than just generally sending them to your main URL.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it would be part of a process rather than a standalone whole. Yes. So whether I'm handing out flyers and driving traffic to that very specific web page, business cards, an ad on Facebook, something like that, sure, it would be a step of a process.
You guys on Zoom, if you have any questions, just unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'd really like that card and that format of how to do this. Do you have anything for listings?
I missed the last part. Anything for what?
To promote for listings?
For listings, great. It's the same process. So think about sellers. What are the big problems they're facing today? Let's just talk through it.
They don't know if they'll be able to find a replacement property.
That's probably the single biggest one that I run into all the time is they know selling in today's market is going to be a breeze. What they're worried about is what that's going to look like when it comes time to buy their next house. So what if you had a solution for that? Would that be a powerful introduction to a seller? So you could have a headline that says something like, sell your home today without being homeless. Right, something like that would be a good introduction to capture their attention. And I'm sure if you sat and thought about it, you could probably even come up with something more clever than that, but you get the idea, right? We're leading with one of the problems that's commonly there. And I hear this from agents all the time. They're like, man, I would have a listing if they knew they could find a home. I hear that all the time. Well, why leave that to chance? Why not create a solution and then market the solution? You get more business. It's kind of weird how that works, right? If people are just waiting because they don't see an option, provide them an option. I've got a client that I work with. He's in the Houston, Texas area. And he's just taken these principles and been very smart about the way he's gone about it. So he and his team, they're all Hispanic. And so we run a lot of ads on Facebook. 100% of them are all in Spanish. And he's catering to the Hispanic market, which is normally a very under-marketed group of people. A lot of the reason why they're under marketed is because a lot of those people tend to not have proper documentation to go get a traditional loan. So what he's marketing is hey, if you don't have proper documentation, we have investors and loan programs where you can get a loan if all you have is an ITIN. Now, do you think people respond to that message? Yeah, you bet, because they don't have lots of other solutions. Right? Finding a problem, finding a solution, conveying that message. That's really all this is. But again, the problem that so many people face is it's just this thought process of, I'm going to convince you to do business with me by telling you how awesome I am. And frankly, nobody cares. Right? The only people who care about that are your friends or your family, and they're going to do business with you anyway. So that's not really who we're marketing to. Right? They're going to care about you at some point down the road, but that's not what they care about at the beginning. What they care about is their problems, their challenges. And if you convey that message, that's what gets people to respond. See, that's when your message starts to stand out amongst that sea of 600 messages that they're hearing every single day. Because it's focused on their problems. It's the easiest way that I can ever teach you to get your marketing to stand out, is making it focused on problems. Right? So in business, in marketing, problems are awesome. We love problems because that's the reason why people are going to hire you. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
So in following up, when you make your business card out and all, so what kind of a marketing, like for the down payment program or something like that, what would you suggest handing out when they respond to that, to your business card? Do you have anything that you have in print or anything, or sample that you could provide us?
If I'm handing out, so I understood handing out the business card, what is it that you're looking for?
Well, like if you're using the caption, you know, how to buy with, down payment, the 5 things that help you get in down payment or whatever. Do you have a flyer or something like that when somebody calls you and says, hey, I would like to have your 5 ways on how to get down payment, do you have something in print that you could share with us?
Kathy, that would kind of depend on what problem is you're trying to solve, what solution is you're coming up with, and if anybody else is participating in that solution, like a lender. If you're talking about maybe loan options to be able to buy a house, talking to a mortgage lender that could help you present that material would be, oh, do we have a transition going on
I
here?
don't know, I guess so.
This is Debbie. She's with a mortgage company. Do you have any answers to the 0 down payment thing?
Yeah, we do actually. So Lynn was actually asking me that. She's like, does anyone even get that accepted anymore? And we just closed on 3 of those. So it does depend on the area. If it's a true 0 down and they don't have anything to offer over, that is super challenging right now. But we closed one in Tooele and some Ogden, and Tori over here is willing to drive out to Duchesne, so maybe he can take those ones on for you.
I'm a full
But-
service realtor.
That was awesome.
And then we have some strategies that also help. So in this market, so I just had someone apply, she's got 15 down, but I wrote 3 different pre-approvals based on the strategy that her agent maybe wants to use. So if they do need to be in an area where she's got to offer over, she can do the Utah housing loan and then have that 15,000 to offer over. So there are strategies you do want to have. I mean, if someone is in that position, you do want to have them call someone like me or a lender that you work with to talk about all of those different strategies, because we have a lot. We want to be competitive in this market, just like you guys. So we've come up with a lot of ways to help people compete. Is it my turn for the whole spiel? Or
Go for it.
Okay. So there's so many things, like self-employed borrowers have, their tax returns, they show very little income. So we have some non-QM products for them. We've got bank statement loans, we've got investor cash flow loans, where they just need to have a 1-to-1 debt to service ratio, meaning the mortgage payment matches the rental agreement, the rental payment, and a good credit score, and they can get a loan. We've got our 10-day close option. That's my favorite. I talk about it every single time, but you guys have new people every time. So what we do is we take a buyer and we pre-approve them, and then we go into a full underwriting. And so when we give you that certificate, it's beyond the pre-approval. We verified all of their income, but they've fully been underwritten. We guarantee them to close in 10 days or less. And we also guarantee their earnest money up to $10,000. So when you put that certificate on top of your pre-approval, that has actually been helping a lot of when the listing agents call me and they're like, what does this mean? And you know, that's our moment to shine and help your buyers get accepted. And normally we are just talking about the pre-approval, and yeah, they've been run through AUS and all of this. We take it a whole step further now, talking about how we have fully underwritten them. They are guaranteed to close. At this point in time, it's subject only to the appraisal, which we order a rush appraisal on all of those, and then the title report, of course. So it's subject only to property at that point in time. They are guaranteed to close. Listing agents love that. So we would love to help your buyers with that program as well. And then for zero down, we do have USDA and VA. We can chat about that. It is a little challenging depending on what particular area and how many other offers are there. So that's where you're going to be strategic, and that's where we, you know, make a good team talking together about what they want, what they need, and what is realistic in the area they're looking. So yeah, I think that's it for me. I do want to talk about, I do love marketing. And so I use Kevin personally. I can vouch for him. That's why I brought him here to begin with several months ago. So there's that moment, especially when you're a new agent. And one of the marketing things we talk a lot about is your SOI, is your hottest market. But when you're new, these people don't see you as the expert, right? They see you as the army guy, or they see, I don't know, what did you do before? I was a mom. Stay-at-home mom. Why would I trust the biggest purchase of my life to a stay-at-home mom? So one of the things that helped me when I was new was Kevin convinced me to start making videos online, and I just thought, you know what, just referrals, right? People are just gonna refer it to me. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So I started, you know, after I felt like I was confident, I'd gotten my license, I had a bunch of training, I decided, okay, I'll do some of these videos, I'll share some of these tips about getting a mortgage and lending and buying a house in today's market. 4 leads right away from the first video, and one of them was my own sister, who again, she's not gonna listen to me. I'm little sister, right? She grew up, changed my diapers or whatever. She's not gonna listen to me, but now she is. Like, she's 50 years old and still renting, and that was killing me. And I was talking to her and she didn't want to listen, but I had the video on Facebook where I was just presenting the information, and somehow the perception we did in her mind, and same with a bunch of other friends and family and old neighbors from other areas, and so it does help. Kevin is an expert in marketing, and I would highly recommend working with him. But also I'm certified now in some marketing coaching and strategic placement and that based on your personality and different systems. So we recommend 1 to 4 active systems and 1 to 3 passive systems. Online marketing is going to be one of your passive systems. It's going to be, you know, a little bit slower, but it's going to get a different reach. It's going to help. They all kind of work together. So if you guys do want to strategize those marketing systems based on your personality and having the different techniques, I'd love to take you out to lunch and chat about that anytime. But so I brought some treats today. We've got some mugs that feel, you know, whether you drink cocoa or coffee, it's you know, it's super size. Help you get going in the morning, and then there's just some little gifts inside. And then we've got, is lunch here? Okay, so we've got, do you want to bring it up here? You were on camera. Oh, okay, yeah, we can. Yeah. And this is Pam, my transaction manager. So we've been working together for about 8 months, and yes, thanks. Does anyone have any questions on any of that? I know it was a lot of information really fast.
Hey, we've got Washington and Oregon and New York on there. What, can you do anything for them in those states?
Yes, we are licensed in obviously all of Utah, Idaho, Colorado, Oregon, California. And did I say Colorado? Colorado. So not New York, can't help you there. But if you do have any questions about any of the non-QM stuff I talked about, I can help you find a lender maybe who does. So, the long-term rate locks. I did want to talk about that right now in this volatile market. You want to find a lender that can do a long-term lock because it is cheaper to do that right now than to do a buy down. So like rates have gone up a full point in a month, which has not happened since 1994. We had to redo all of our pre-approvals. Some people were to the point where they didn't even qualify for that purchase price anymore. If that they were at their max LTV, you know, we had to redo all of that. Some people, I had contracts on my desk and they're like, it's $200 more a month now. I don't want to do that. I'm like, no. Let's strategize, right? There are so many different ways any side hustle is going to bring in $200 more a month. And then having the talk with them, with the agent and the lender side by side about the reality of, if you wait to buy a cheaper house 6 months from now, it's going to be the price of the contract you have right now, and it'll be a lesser house. So being educated in the market and having those talks with everybody, and then coming up with alternative solutions for them like that. So our company does do long-term rate locks. The traditional is 7, 15, 30, and 90, but our long terms are 120, 240, and clear up to 360. New construction is right now at 3.75 for 360 days. So those are some really good products to chat about in a volatile rate market like this. We hope that they peaked, but who knows? We actually thought they were going to only go up to 4 by the end of the year. So, you know, there's a lot of things you want to talk about and have that conversation with your buyers. So any questions on any of that?
Yeah.
Let's eat this.
Would
You
you-
come up to say something? Or like-
No, she was on fire. I was just like attracted to it.
Nate, was that you saying?
Yeah, I had a question. So
Oh, yeah.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So for Oregon, that's where I am. Is there a way you could put together a report like he was talking about that we could use
On
for
what?
for no down payment or low down payment, maybe grants, like a report like and to give people?
And that's really what my
Nate, why don't
question,
you use her phone number or email that's in the chat and reach out to her and talk a little bit more specific on what you're looking for.
and that's really what
Oh,
my
okay.
question was if there was like a 1 page, just like bullet statement, kind of a flyer to when somebody has your business card and then calls on from the back and it says, call me for a report. That's all I was asking was, does he have a report that we can send to them just for a bullet statement type of a flyer to grab their attention to follow through with, you know, their request to try for a down payment. So that's all I was asking for.
I don't, and the major reason why I don't is because I work with agents nationwide. And the loan programs that we have available here are going to be different than loan programs that you have in your various states. But I mean, I think in most cases, like FHA with gift funds, where somebody is gifting the money, that's going to solve the problem. Here locally, we have a program called Utah Housing, where it's the first and second covering down payment and closing costs. You've got VA, which is pretty much nationwide as far as I'm aware, that's 0 down. You've got USDA, which I'm not sure if that's outside of Utah, but
No, we have, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, even
So
Saratoga
it's just-
Springs counts for USDA right now.
it's really just understanding some of those options and putting together what's viable for your market. I mean, something like that would probably take you maybe 30 to 40 minutes to put together. But by the time you've done that, you've got a very valuable resource that people are going to want to have that information.
I just took 4 classes in the SAR, the Spokane MLS for the down payment assistance program. So, and it's got a marketing section in that. So I'm sure there'll probably be something in that I could come up with
Sure.
as a report type thing to give to people. So.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good class too, by the way.
Thank you, Dr. Eddie. Hey, thanks, guys. Hey, come on, I'm the only one clapping.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on, man. Oh, that was amazing. I can tell you're ready to say something
No,
now.
I was just absolutely amazed at the note taking that he took. Like he has a full bulletproof presentation of this whole class.
Oh,
that
Jerry?
Terry just wrote down.
Oh.
Like seriously, it's amazing. He just sent it to us.
You've already seen that.
I already saw it and just already told you how amazing.
Right. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. I put a link to my Dropbox folder that has all these slides that we just watched. And I was trying to take some pictures of the screen just so that I could finish my notes as he moved on. But you have all the slides that we just took. I put phone numbers and emails for Kevin. And here's my baby.
I just want to say thanks, everybody, for showing up. We absolutely love these classes. We love the information that's brought to us to help us get better at what we do as agents. And it's just really great that everyone's plugging in, and hopefully you got some good information. I do every time, even though I already know everything. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but anyway, I just want to thank you all for being here, because we absolutely love seeing your faces and love that you're plugging in, and want you to be out there making, helping people find homes and selling their homes.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we got together here in person at my office. Not everybody has that type of location to do that, but you could find one. I think some of you in different markets, Pedro, even Kathy, Steve, Nate, you know, we do these every week. Some of you, there's only a few names here I don't recognize. If you want to be invited to future classes like this, just put a yes in the chat and I'll make sure I get you on an invite list. But you other guys, I mean, the way to start creating community like we have here is getting together with people. So you're watching this on Zoom, why not have another agent or two sitting next to you, so that when we say goodbye to you guys, we're gonna have lunch, we're gonna visit, we're gonna mastermind, we're gonna talk about each other's deals, and we're gonna continue to grow for another little segment here. And I wish you guys could participate in that. So think about that, where you guys are, maybe starting your own little group that can then plug into our group. We're providing these types of experiences every week, so think about that. Okay, love you guys. Any last comments or questions before I say goodbye?
Thanks, you guys. That was awesome. And I went to his other class and I was like, should I go again? And it was totally worth it.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, Kim. Hey, guys.
Brittany, come to the next one.
Yeah, she's on there. Okay.
Tomorrow. 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you, Brittany, not the other Brittany, you, Brittany.
Yeah, anyone in Utah, 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys, if you're here, you should be at our office 10 a.m. tomorrow for sales velocity training. Brittany, bring your sick kid. We'll quarantine him downstairs. Okay, see you guys.
See ya.
I mean, the window just has to be rolled down, right?
Oh,
Oh, that's not.